Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. My name is Gene Park under the mask, and I'm only wearing this mask because we have a very special guest today. It's Jeffrey Ju, executive producer of Legends of Runeterra. But first of all, before we get to that, again, welcome to the Launcher Live here at the Washington Post. We are Launcher. We are the video game section of the Washington Post. So if you haven't heard of us, we just started in October. And we got a amazing show again. We have Jeff Ju of Riot Games coming on here, and it's so hard to talk in this mask, but I'm gonna keep it on until I talk to other people. Uh, but as I'm like breathing, I'm like like that. Anyways, sorry. We're gonna go over news of the week. It's been a crazy news week, and it started on Monday with The Last of Us 2 leaking out details of the game coming out. Total shock because this is next to Final Fantasy VII Remake. This is the most anticipated title of the year, and the release came out. I just want to make sure if the chat's on right now, please, no spoilers in the chat. I know you guys really want to. I know it feels good to ruin people's days. I know how it feels. I know how it feels. I love it too. But if you could just resist this one time, that'd be cool, right? But because we're not going to be talking about any spoilers, we're not. I'm the only person among the three of us on our staff that dove head in first, but we're going to talk about that more later. We also are going to be talking about a new Assassin's Creed reveal. We got Ubisoft confirmed new information about the title, and the question of the day. We like to end things off to engage the chat a little bit and just let our brains relax for a little bit. So at the end of the day, we're going to be talking about what keeps us coming back to Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing is still a big thing. Everyone's keep on talking about it, and I'm going to take this mask off because my lips are super sweaty. There you go. I feel so free.
How are
Hey,
your
yeah,
glasses? How are your glasses? Because I know when I wear a mask, just like immediately fogging up, need the windshield wipers on. Could you
that's
see
because your
okay?
mask sucks. That's why.
Yeah.
but but it's supposed to. You're not supposed to be fogging up or whatever. But so far with this mask and a heavy duty mask that I haven't been able to fog up. But in case you're wondering who that guy was, that is Mikhail Klimentov.
That's
Uh,
right.
Last week, you may not recognize him because last week he showed up with a mustache, and this week he doesn't have it. So I understand your confusion there.
He killed our extra co-host.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I have a sweat mustache right now for the mask. So, but Mikhail is one of our editors here, and also joining us is Elise Favis,
Hey,
the other reporter. I'm also a reporter too, but I'm also Gene Park. But hey, Elise, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm excited to talk about The Last of Us too, but like we said, no spoilers. So I'm really nervous about like
Yeah,
finding
yeah. Let's get right into
inadvertently.
it.
So
Let's get right into Last of Us 2. So here's the breakdown. On Monday, or I guess Monday, I don't know exactly what day it was that the clips showed up on YouTube. And a lot of the spoilers are also posted on 4chan. They're everywhere on Reddit now. These were video clips of what appeared to be a developer code of the final game. These weren't even just gameplay sections. These were key scenes from the actual story that that really ruins a lot of the story. I don't know what ruins, but it definitely shows um, big beats of the story. And Naughty Dog, in response on Monday, basically said that they were heartbroken. Neil Druckmann, the creative director and writer, said that he was heartbroken. And basically, Sony announced that they were pushing that before all the leaks happened. The Last of Us 2 was delayed indefinitely. It was supposed to come out next month in May.
right.
Well, wait, what was it? When was it? When was the original release date?
It was in May.
Yeah, but it is May now, though. Or no, it's June.
Not yet.
It's
Yeah,
June now.
yeah. I don't know what time it is. I don't know what day it is.
So it's it's
But yeah,
interesting that it was first it's gonna come out in May, then delayed indefinitely, and now it's just a month later. So it's not as bad as I thought it would be. So I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, and it's far enough away that like as for me, someone who dived into spoilers, I think hopefully a month, and considering how time seems to be moving very strangely lately, I probably would forget about them by that time.
Nice.
But the thing about it is though is that for whatever reason, we know why the reason why. A lot of people surmise and presume that the leak came from the inside because it was code that was had source code and was able to kind of summarize the whole story. It's still really not confirmed, honestly. But
No, it's not. Yeah.
the stories the story synopses that I read does line up with the cutscenes and scenes that I did see. But what is definitely not confirmed is the source of this leak. We do not know where it come from. It is absolutely conjecture to guess that it came from a developer. It's an educated guess. I can definitely see that. But from what I can tell, it's definitely just become cemented as a narrative, which is I think
Well,
unfortunate. At least, what do
yeah,
you think?
I think the thing is, you bring up a really good point how it's been cemented as a narrative, and I think there's such a good chance that that's just a fan theory because Naughty Dog, of course, has there's been reports of intense crunch culture there. And it's very easy to quickly relate that to these leaks and say that it's a disgruntled employee. But the fact that there is no confirmation of that, and considering everyone is working from home, it also brings up IP security, and a lot of these times these leaks just happen accidentally. And it feels very, very much like a conspiracy theory to say that, oh, it's an employee.
Yeah, I think what's kind of important is, over the past month even, we've seen so many like leaks and security risks. There was Counter-Strike or Source engine code that leaked from a couple of years ago. I know I have friends who are in like the Pokemon community, and apparently old source code had leaked there as well. There's just a ton of stuff kind of coming unearthed. And what you start to learn when you dig into those stories is that in a lot of cases, drawing the line is very difficult. In the case of Pokemon, my understanding is that it was a hack that happened, years ago, and slowly stuff has been trickling out. In the case of CS:GO, or sorry, not CS:GO, in the case of the Source engine code, there was a Brian Feldman article. He was previously at New York Mag, where he investigated it and found that it was somebody from a modding forum who had like a really bad reputation, and somehow the code had got its way to him. There are a lot of like third parties involved in the development of games. There are a lot of people who touch these games. And so to draw the line there between an employee and the leak of information, it's like a very easy line to draw, but I think it overlooks kind of the complexities behind game development and all of the different factors and players that go into this. There's so many people who could have been touching the story, who could have been touching, the game engine, et cetera, that it strikes me as a bit irresponsible to kind of latch onto that message right now and say, oh, for sure, this is what happened. It feels a bit like, oh, go ahead, Elise.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was just going to say there's a good chance we're never going to know. I really doubt that Naughty Dog's ever going to come out and say, this is how this leak happened, right? It's something I think will stay internal. So dispelling these rumors is very difficult to do when you can't sit here and say there's confirmation that, no, this didn't happen. So it stays a rumor, but it doesn't take away from the fact that this sucks. This sucks for fans. This sucks, of course, for Naughty Dog, who I think as a company, they put excellence first, and they produce incredible products. And I think having an entire, not even just like a snippet of the story, but the entire thing that you've been working on for years, just put out there before the thing is even put on the market is awful.
Yeah, it's tough. Naughty Dog are famously perfectionists, and like in my opinion, I would hate to never hear about what happened. Especially considering, I'm putting on my PR hat. I'm putting on my PR mask now. But like considering the already unavoidable topic of work culture and crunch at Naughty Dog, which fuel this presumption that it came from a disgruntled employee. Knowing that that's floating out there, I would think that it would be in Naughty Dog's best interest to be a little bit uh, more forthcoming, because I feel like that would at least help dispel and damn like control that rumor or whatever, or that notion. Rockstar came out recently and was able to tell Jason Schreier, formerly of Kotaku, about their own best and what's been better. So yeah, I don't know what else to discuss without getting into spoiler territory.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fear for me is that this is kind of the way this is being framed right now is kind of becoming a proxy for people's existing opinions about video game development, about the culture around game development. Every time a big story comes out about crunch, about hours, there's inevitably that faction of readers that goes, oh, they signed up for this, they volunteered for this, like if you're getting paid, it's your job, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it strikes me that like if we latch onto this unproven idea, if this kind of becomes myth, if this becomes the key focus here, the risk really falls on the workers who are already, based on kind of prior reporting, in a bit of a tough spot. And now there is this fan community that kind of has knives out for them of like, we can't believe these ungrateful people would ruin the work of Naughty Dog, ruin our experience playing. And that's upsetting and kind of an unfortunate side effect if this kind of keeps cycling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it remind you guys of any other leaks? Elise, you want to say something?
I do. It does remind me a little bit of Kingdom Hearts 3, the leak that they had 6 weeks prior to launch, but that was the actual game being, the kind of the breaking street date. That's actually in some ways worse. At least people don't know how The Last of Us 2 plays, and I think that still kind of remains a mystery, and that's obviously a big part of the experience, right?
That's true.
How
true.
does everything fall together? Obviously, this is a very narrative-focused game, but there are still lots of pieces that we don't know about, and lots of pieces that I'm still excited about. But regardless, I don't want to read any of those.
Yeah, there's a big difference between what Kingdom Hearts 3 did, because everybody who had the Kingdom Hearts 3 game that was leaked out was able to at least see the full context of whatever incomprehensible nonsense the Kingdom Hearts 3 story was about, right? Versus The Last of Us 2, where we're seeing 3 minutes of a key scene without any of the 20. There's like 20, 40 hours missing in between all of this, right? Like we don't get to know about the characters or anything like that, and now I'm almost like veering dangerously into spoiler territory myself. Quick question: how tempted were you guys to look at the spoilers?
Not at all. Like zero interest. If anything,
I know you were like, I'm out. Like,
yeah. I was basically on the same page with Elise of like, I can avoid this, like it'll be fine. I think the other thing worth remembering is that like at the end of the day, it's a piece of media. I remember when God, what was it? The Force Awakens was spoiled. There's a big thing that happens around the climax, and immediately as soon as people like had seen the movie, YouTube comments got like flooded with the news. I remember like a small forum I was on, people were posting the spoiler out. It was totally unavoidable. And at some point you kind of just need to cut your losses and go like, it's the internet. This is a piece of media. Like I'll be in this, if it's a movie, for 2 hours and then I'm done. If it's a game, I'll be in it for 20 to 60 hours and then I'm done. But like, it is a piece of media at the end of the day. And so like, if it is spoiled, I'll live. I will not.
I'm with you in that. I used to like not like spoilers, but I actually do love spoilers. I love to like, I'm the kind of guy who likes to read to the end of the book When I'm on Netflix, I scrub to the end to see like what kind of happens, because I don't
Dude.
care. I don't care. I'm just watching.
Same.
I'm just there for the storytelling. I'm not there to see what happens. You know, I'm not there for surprises. I want to be told a story and understand the characters. So, for me,
Okay, so
there's a
like
difference.
I am someone who has greatly considered getting Ellie's tattoo on my arm.
Yeah.
Like I have been thinking about it for so long, like ever since that first trailer came out for Last of Us 2. I was like, okay, well, first of all, I'm a huge Last of Us fan. But second of all, I freaking love her tattoo and I want it so bad. And the only reason I have not done it, like I've not gotten it yet, is because I'm like, okay, what if there's a chance that The Last of Us 2 is just a total flop? This very small chance because I
Yeah.
believe in Naughty Dog. but
Yeah.
but that's why I've like not gotten it. And that's another reason why I don't want to look at the spoilers. You know, I'm very invested in this universe, and I want to experience it as a as a blank slate and enjoy it for what it is.
I can totally see where you're going. I'm just gonna say this real quick. Like I love The Last of Us. I thought it was a tremendous story. I thought it is one of the best, if not the best ending in video games ever. And I'm of the opinion that it never needed a sequel. So when they announced the sequel, I was actually kind of upset. So for
me too, at first, yeah.
Yeah, I'm still like not wanting it. Like at the very least, it should have been like an anthology, The Last of Us anthology, with focusing on different characters, because I felt like Joel and Ellie's story was so complete as far as I was concerned, that it didn't need anything more. But we're getting that, and we're gonna move on to another huge franchise that just dropped news. I'm a huge Assassin's Creed fan. I am the reason why Ubisoft was putting out Assassin's Creed games every year for a long time, because I bought every single one, no matter how unexcited I was. For me, just the baseline Assassin's Creed template of just running around in buildings and climbing walls, that's always fun to me. But they dropped some new information for Assassin's Creed something. And Elise, you know all the information. You're gonna break the news to me. So
well, there
what's
isn't
going on
that
with
much.
Assassin's Creed?
There isn't that much to go off of, and it was really mostly just a setting reveal. So they revealed
what was the
that
stream like? Because I saw a lot of memes on Twitter and people making fun of it, and what was that like? And it seemed to have gone on for like 5 hours for some reason. What was going on there?
I think I think Ubisoft has a reputation of these kind of gimmicky reveals. They've done that for Watch Dogs. They've done it for previous Assassin's Creed games too. And I think this was just a very interesting approach, slow-paced approach of revealing that setting. But as soon as you saw the boat and you saw that there were Vikings, I think it was
Vikings.
pretty clear what the setting would be. And frankly, a lot of people already knew before this reveal event to start off.
It was already leaked, right?
Because it was already leaked, right?
Yeah.
And
what's it going to be called?
It's Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Oh, okay. That's kind of cool, actually. I can't hate on Valhalla, so. So what do we know about the next Assassin's Creed? Because it's been 2 years since Odyssey, right?
It has been, 2 years. And, I think what I'm most curious about looking forward is if they're going to keep the same model that they've been using for Origins and Odyssey, which I'll be honest, I haven't been a huge fan of. I know that it's gotten a lot of love, especially
people love it.
Especially Odyssey. I think people adore that game. And I'm not going to say it's a bad game. I think that they did a really wonderful job of recreating ancient Greece, and it is fun. I think my main problem with it is it really doesn't feel like Assassin's Creed anymore, at least in the way that it used to before those two games. I don't know. I guess like some people said, oh, well, the combat was a lot simpler. You're really overpowered with your hidden blade and you can just cut through everyone. I kind of liked that personally. Like I liked feeling like a superhero assassin. And I know I'm in the minority, but I also really enjoyed the modern day segments, and those have been cut down significantly, especially in Origins and Odyssey, to the point where they're barely noticeable.
Non-existent, yeah, almost.
Right. So I'm curious. I would love to see a resurgence of those science fiction elements that are true to this, are true to the series, are true to its roots, come back. And also I'm curious to see how they continue to develop those RPG elements, if they scale back or if they, put more resources into that. I'm assuming that they're going to keep going that route. There's been a lot of praise. So,
Mikhail, what's your experience with the other AC series that we're talking about right now?
So I would say that I really loved the first Assassin's Creed. And I know the first Assassin's Creed got clowned on pretty heavily for being repetitive at parts. People seem to like the second game more than the first. But I think what I really liked, and what unfortunately I just don't see very much in games anymore, is that the first Assassin's Creed, even if it was repetitive, it was relatively focused as an experience. And then I remember playing the second game and, you have to hire people and there are buildings in town.
Pick up these feathers and you have a mansion that you have to run now.
All this additional stuff, and it feels a lot like over the years the franchise, and this is maybe kind of the Ubisoft model in general, has been really stuffed to the gills with additional bits and baubles, and it feels as though kind of AAA games have fallen into these two lanes roughly, where it's either this kind of Last of Us prestige TV style story, it's very straightforward, or it's an 80-hour game where there's so many different little bits and pieces that you need to find or side quests you need to do. And I think the first Assassin's Creed kind of walked this ground somewhere in the middle, where it wasn't really either of those things, and it gave you this kind of freedom of movement and experience while also walking you down a fairly linear story. And I think that ground has been seeded quite a bit. I hope there was a period a year ago, I think, sometime last year or the year before, when Ubisoft said, we're rethinking our model. The games that we've released recently haven't been up to snuff. We're going to do a serious revamp of how we approach game development. My hope is that kind of impacts their thinking on Valhalla, but it's impossible to say right now. There's just not enough information.
You both bring up really great points, and it really, really kind of echoes how I feel about the series. Elise, just like you, and you too, Mikhail. I love the original Assassin's Creed games. I loved feeling powerful, like a countering Batman. You don't really get that in a lot of other games other than Batman or the Lord of the Rings game. And it's just, so Origins and Odyssey really scaled you back to make you weaker. You have to level up. There's a loot system now. But even in Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood, they with those elements of building the house and sending assassins out on missions, it was very much influenced by the Zynga Farmville era of mobile games and Facebook games that when that came out. And then now Ubisoft kind of turned Assassin's Creed into a loot grind, Destiny style game. And to your point, Mikhail, it really kind of lost an identity and went away from the assassinations that you and I at least love so much. These really structured missions where you have to kind of find your way and find your target. All of that's gone, and I really, really hope that with Valhalla they're kind of able to really step back and not overstuff their games, because what they have there is really, really fun. And I try to ignore all the other stuff to kind of get to the core of what I really enjoy, which is running around, jumping, fighting, and being an assassin, which is what I want an Assassin's Creed game to be. I don't want to be a Viking.
Also, bring back Assassin's Creed multiplayer. That's all.
Yeah, that too. And I also just wanted to go to Asia for Christ's sake. I know I'm Asian, so I'm obviously I'm speaking in type here, but and I'm sure that there's some cultural appropriation issues that they might be afraid of or whatever. But they already made a Chinese game in 2D, and ninjas just make complete sense as assassins. And I remember that they said that there's too many ninja games. What ninja games are there? Where are the ninja games? I don't see any of them. Anyways, speaking of ninjas, I'm gonna put this one on because I want to represent my favorite ninja in MOBAs. But we want to welcome. We're gonna say goodbye to Mikhail for a little bit. We're gonna talk about the other AC, but we want to welcome Jeff Ju of Riot Games in here, and I'm gonna keep this on for a little bit. But Jeff, how's it going? I actually can't even put it on. There you go.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. Welcome.
Awesome.
We talked before, but it's good to talk again.
Yeah, good to see you again. Good to see you in person.
Yeah, totally. We were just on the phone before, so.
That's awesome.
But yeah, we're excited to talk, about Legends of Runeterra. Gene, do you want me to take over?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, real quick, Legends of Runeterra is coming out of closed beta, right? And you guys are dropping an expansion this week.
That's right. Yeah, so I'm really excited about it. Legends of Runeterra, we're officially launching tomorrow, which is Thursday, April 30th. And we've been in closed beta and open beta for a while now on PC, but the really exciting part is that we're going to finally be out officially on PC, iOS, and Android starting tomorrow, which is super exciting.
I have it on iOS already.
I'm super pumped. Honestly, I'll play mostly on phone myself. It just fits my lifestyle the best. And it is also coming out with our first new set of cards and new features from our Rising Tides expansion. So yeah, really excited to have a big feature launch and to invite all our new players in.
Great. So, to start off, let's talk about Legends of Runeterra. I also want to talk about all the different games that you have in development quickly. You've got, this is I would say, the kind of second kind of big full release for Riot since League of Legends, and it's been kind of over a decade. So this is a big deal. You're celebrating your 10th anniversary. I'm curious, considering this has been over a decade of time. I'm curious about your release schedule and why you decided to wait for that length of time and release this kind of assortment of games at once.
Yeah, it's a big question. And honestly, we joke about putting the S in Riot Games all the time internally. So yeah, I worked on League way back in the day. I was a game designer initially. I worked on League for many years, and I'm just so happy how strong that game has gone over time. We just, like you said, we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary last year. So, when we were building the game, even when I was working on it many years in, we were really focused on making sure that we're providing the best live service possible to our players. And we were really trying to make sure we didn't deviate from having that focus. And so we actually weren't developing a lot of new games for a while because League of Legends was growing. We felt like we wanted to grow and support the esports and community aspects. And I think, you've seen that game evolve so much over the years. We did start some small R&D projects. Valorant and Legends of Runeterra honestly started nearly at the same time. And those teams had really, really small teams spinning up prototypes and working on a lot of different little things. For Legends of Runeterra, actually, we experimented with a lot of things beyond card games, like small 4X style kind of strategy kind of areas. And honestly, at the end of the day, we just had this deep love of card games. Actually, we have like this card game club at Riot. It's one of the longest running clubs. It's been there for over 10 years, where we played all kinds of new card games, and we had, like a weekly night where the whole company would play together. So, later on when we were talking about what games we should make, we actually surveyed our players over a course of time, and it turned out that the majority of League of Legends players either had been playing a card game or were currently playing a card game and really enjoying it. And so when we started to spin up those R&D teams, we wanted to make sure we were in genres that our players would love to see, kind of new evolutions of the League of Legends IP, paired with awesome gameplay and innovations in the space that we could go to. So I've been really proud and happy to work on the Legends of Runeterra team for a few years now, and just really excited with what the team has come up with. And so far, we've been able to put the game out, do some betas, react to our community, and try to grow the game over time. So I'm just really excited to try to bring that same level of service that we brought to League of Legends to new genres. And I know that the Valorant team and in the future, the Wild Rift team, we all are aiming to do the same thing in the genres that we're in.
That's great. And I think it's interesting because I think looking at League of Legends, in its MOBA format, it's not a narrative game. So there's only so much that you can find out about these characters, right? You can understand the kind of themes they have and the kind of personalities they have through playing them, but in terms of backstories and in terms of history, there isn't so much of that. So do you feel like expanding League of Legends into other genres, into even other mediums, like with the TV show, is a good way for people to experience that universe?
Absolutely. with the Champions of League of Legends, we were able to show a side of that game that was really unique, but it really focused on champions. And then, as you said, the narrative of each individual game almost takes place outside of the universe, right? They're kind of like instance, like non-canon stories that are playing out. People really fell in love with those champions. I mean, you were wearing the KDA mask earlier, which I love, and we fell in love with those characters too. And so we have a lot of teams and projects at Riot which are aimed at developing that world even more. For Legends of Runeterra, we have the unique opportunity to focus on more than just the champions. Obviously, the champions will probably be the star of the game for a long time, but we really get to flesh out all the different regions of the world, where the champions come from, who are their followers, who are their friends, who do they hang out with. And if you look at the card art in Legends of Runeterra, a lot of times we're trying to tell little miniature stories about how characters interact in the world, where they come from. There's actually some art where you're seeing the same scene from multiple angles with the same characters playing it out. And so for us, we just love the world. And honestly, making games in other genres that leverage that League of Legends IP, also making things like Tales of Runeterra, which is a kind of regional YouTube series that we just put out that covers many of the different regions from Runeterra, are really going to help flesh out that world for players of our game. They're a great introduction into the League IP, because League of Legends is an amazing game, but it can be daunting to hop into right now if you're new to it. Things like KDA, which I know you said you watched and maybe had you check out more. I think all these things help us flesh out the universe and make it feel cohesive and something that we can evolve and build on for many, many years. And so I think right now is a really good time for both players that are new to League IP, because there's so many new different games and mediums they can jump into. And if you've been following League of Legends for a long time, you're probably super pumped that there's finally all these other places you can show your love for League of Legends and also get your friends to watch them. So
it's interesting because when I started it, I can the champions are so distinctive. You can immediately see their personality, and I feel like I get more of their personality here than I did in LOL, at least immediately. So I can definitely see that where the focus really ended up in. So
that's great to hear. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, and it's interesting because talking to the narrative lead, Melly, from the Legends of the Runeterra team, she mentioned that there's 4,000 lines of dialogue, which is wild to me, especially for a card game,
Yeah.
So the fact that you can delve into the narrative that much, even in that kind of genre, is really fascinating to me. How did you find how was it, blending all of that together?
Honestly, I think the team has done a great job. When we started making new games on the League IP, we had the champions as our basis, but that was pretty much it. So we really had to flesh out the world. What are the themes of each of these factions? What are their values? Philosophically, what do they believe in? How do they interact with the other characters in the game? And for Legends of Runeterra, we have, probably thousands of pieces of art and concept art and dialogue and narrative that is then distilled into the cards and the flavor of the game. But there's just a whole universe of work that we draw from. And that takes people from all over the company, from the kind of central IP group, from League of Legends, from Legends of Runeterra. And we actually talk every single week. We kind of talk about what's going on in each of our products. How are the different stories weaving together? Because for us, while there are different games in this genre for the League IP, it's all one shared IP. But I think it's really important that products have the power to move that story forward and to actually develop characters and invent characters. So, I think we are really blessed that we are working in an IP that is actually so rich to begin with, but that we can then take all those characters and kind of further double down on their interactions, their relationships in the world. And yeah, I mean, if you've never played a card game, honestly, I think you could probably jump into Legend of Runeterra and just read all the flavor text and look at the art and start to see, how these characters actually interact and go deep on that way. So I think that we really hope that the game feels inviting, whether you're a veteran League of Legends player or brand new, because for even the veterans, you're kind of starting fresh. They've only known that champion from the one dimension of League of Legends, but now they get to see them fully fleshed out with their full cast of supporting characters and the region they're from. That's been really fun. And it's really fun to be at the kind of precipice or the tip of the kind of IP movement for League of Legends, because we're like inventing it right now, and so it just feels so fresh to be able to push the IP forward and create this new content for players.
For sure. I'd like to move on to the business model a little bit, because you've got an interesting one for this game. You know, of course, you're going free to play, like a lot of CCGs do, which is a good move. But of course, you know, microtransactions in particular tend to draw a lot of criticism. And I think you're trying to avoid, there are microtransactions in this game, but I think you're trying to avoid the pay to win model, you know, and keep a level playing field for people regardless of what decks they have. So can you talk to us a little bit more about that and how you remain profitable despite that?
Absolutely, yeah. It really stems from this core belief we have about the game and about card games in general, which is we feel that card games are at their best when you can look at your vast collection of things and have that kind of mad scientist moment of, oh, what if I put this card with this card? Or what if I put this character with this character? And that's when the game is at its most fun. Because the deck building aspect is pretty much half the game, I would say, for a card game. And to be able to give players that experience where they are looking at the different choices they might have, they have to have high access to cards. And so that was a foundational philosophy that we had at the very beginning. So then we set out on trying to figure out ways we could give players those cards in a way that was satisfying and felt fair. When it came to booster packs, which is kind of the tried and true way that every CCG has done this, and I grew up playing CCGs. It was one of my primary genres for my whole life. Honestly, we could have gone down that path because it's tried and true. It's worked for many years, but we found that it didn't lead us to getting players to have that collection of cards where they could choose what they wanted to mix and match from. It's, you know, if they saw 2 cool cards previewed, it might take them opening like hundreds of packs to find those 2 cards and be able to play with them. And for us, that was a deal breaker. So what we ended up doing is building a really rewarding free-to-play progression system where you basically get to select a region at any given time. You can freely switch. You unlock cards around that region. You also just are getting progress on a weekly vault, which is like a big chest you open every week. And at the end of that week, you open it. And that whole time you're earning these things called shards, which can be used to unlock any card you choose, or you can pay coins, which is a real money currency, to buy that card. So there's really very little blocking of you getting the 2 cards you want. And you know, while people may ask, like, how does that help your business? Like, will you be able to continue? Well, how we feel is we want to engage players for years and years to come. And the way we do that is by using like a really fair and transparent business model over time. Obviously, we're also investing in a lot of really cool personalization elements, like guardians and boards, which is kind of how you customize your playmat and the different treatment you have for your little pet. We also have emotes that came out in this patch as well for Rising Tides. And I think all those things together make me feel like we'll be able to operate our business and be totally okay. But I think it'll be really refreshing for players who are used to, you know, not being able to have that access to cards they want to try, and feeling like maybe pressure to buy packs and get things that they actually don't want. And I think with the way the industry is headed, we felt like this was also the right path forward that could, set the right precedent for years and years to come, and feel really fair and rewarding to our players. And honestly, the reason we went to launch is because we received so much positive feedback, especially about this model during our open beta, which has lasted the last few months. And so we felt very confident that players are telling us it's fair. Wow, it feels like I'm getting rewarded at all times, and I can actually play the cards I want, and that really, accomplishes our goal. So we're really happy about the model.
I think you probably answered my question, but it was basically like what kind of assurances might I have? Hi, dog. Sorry. about like a new player. Like, for example, I decided to start like 6 months later. I'm like how would I be able to catch up? It does sound like there's quite a bit of avenues if I grind enough, or if I do want to spend some money to be able to catch up and build the deck that I want.
Oh yeah. You can catch up extremely easily, and actually, catch-up mechanics are one of the biggest things we were thinking about going into the launch into Rising Tides. So we'd been in open beta for a few months, and we made the decision to not reset players' accounts because we didn't want people to feel like, oh, they put in all this time to get the cards and then we reset your account. So for people that have played in the open beta, they get to keep their cards, which is awesome. And then for all the new players coming in, actually, when you select a region of road as a new player, you're going to get like bonus experience for the first few levels of each of those. And we'll continue to do this as new regions come out, because we just really want players to feel like they can catch up quickly and they don't feel like they're starting behind. And honestly, at the end of the day, if you play the game for a week or two, you're going to just be able to get a like very good deck just for playing for free, which is really unique. And honestly, if you're playing for a couple of months, you'll probably have several different decks that you feel really confident about. So I just encourage people to like read online about what other players are saying about the game, because we're really committed to making it feel fair and rewarding, and we really care about what our players think about the system, and making sure that we're serving their needs. So yeah, I think in terms of catch up, it's something we'll continue to look at, but we feel it was a big focus for us moving into Rising Tide. So it's honestly going to be a really good time to jump in.
Great. I want to touch upon, last time we talked, we brought up single player content a little bit.
Yeah.
And how you've got something in the works for that. And I'd love for you to dive into that a little bit more. And I look at Hearthstone, and they've got that adventures mode. I talked to you about how I really enjoyed the tutorial section in Legends of Runeterra, and which I didn't expect. Tutorials are usually not fun at all.
It's a really good tutorial.
But you made those missions fun. You made them feel like puzzle solving sections to the CCG, which I thought was very good. So yeah, talk to me about this single player content that you're.
Honestly, makes me so happy to hear you say that, first of all, because making a tutorial fun is really challenging. Most people just want to skip the tutorial, but we try to infuse a little bit of flavor and dialogue and narrative in there. And honestly, Legend of Runeterra, it is a somewhat easy to learn game, but it's also very nuanced. And so we want to make sure people really learn the mechanics as they went through it. So yeah, honestly, the single player content is one of the things we're thinking of doing. It's one of the things that our team is constantly talking about wanting to do. One thing that's interesting about single player content that I'll say is that it hits probably a very particular audience group. And so we really want to make sure that we're building the right features. We only can make so many features at a given time. We want to hit, usually the broadest player base of our players that we can. And so what I will say is, if people do want that single player content, please provide us that feedback. We'd love to see and hear your thoughts on it. But for us, it's something we'd love to do, because like we were talking about before, there's just so much storytelling to do. And I think with the depth of the game, there's so many cool challenges we can set up and make the player feel clever, and have like different challenges they can try to accomplish. I think that when it comes to trying to design the single player content, we will not be at a loss for stories to tell or character interactions to put together. There's so many good trailers and kind of narrative content that Riot is putting out right now that we have so much inspiration to draw from. So I think single player is something that we're absolutely looking to do right now. It's not something that we've announced we're committed to, but because of the success of the tutorials, and honestly with the launch of Rising Tides, we've added a bunch of additional challenges for people to try. If players are loving those and they want to see more, we'd love to hear you write to us and tell us what you're looking forward to.
So I'd like to move on a little bit to a different topic, which is working from home. Which is a weird new reality that we're all doing, which is why we're in a Zoom call right now, all of us. Anyway, obviously that is a sometimes challenging for game studios. It's a shift, and of course you've had the open beta for Legends of Runeterra basically through this entire pandemic. So what has that been like, developing and tweaking this game during a work from home kind of reality?
Yeah, it's a really
like to
really
run a live
time.
service during a pandemic.
Yeah, working through the pandemic. We shifted to fully working from home right at the start, and I have to give a lot of credit to those at Riot that championed and got us to a good working state, because we actually transitioned to working from home pretty smoothly. But I know it's been very challenging for a lot of people, especially if you're a parent or if you have multiple people working from home at the same time. We've had to be really thoughtful and just give people the time to work on their family stuff and real life stuff, and don't feel compelled like, hey, you have to focus on work right now, because it's a really unique experience. And so being really thoughtful around that was our first priority. When we moved into working from home, we had settled on a launch date of April 30th a long time ago. And one of the first things that we had to do is talk to the team about, hey, I think the launch date, we're still excited about it, but we don't want to like lock it in. Let's play it by ear for a few weeks and adjust to the work from home lifestyle. As a producer, a lot of our job is helping to make sure that our teams are healthy and happy and can stay focused on the work and balance the work-life balance. And so we did a number of new kind of working from home centric processes, like we met more frequently online. And in those frequent meetings, instead of doing a once a day stand up, let's do 2 of them. And for the second one, you don't have to treat it like, just report what you're working on. Let's just hang out and talk and see how everybody's doing. We started meeting every morning at 9:30 to meet as a team and do a status update to make sure everybody's doing well, and to just get those kind of small connection, those little hallway conversations, or turn the person behind you that you can't do anymore, to get those little organic conversations back in. And honestly, for people that live alone, I think which is a lot of our team, just seeing people at a more regular cadence is really helpful, because I think it can be challenging to just be by yourself all the time. So it was really challenging. And what I will say is I just give the team so much credit for honestly persevering through this period and us retaining our launch date and being able to release, hopefully a really fun game for players while they're looking for entertainment or distractions. And so, I'm really appreciative of how our team adjusted to work from home. And actually we're launching a game during the quarantine, which is, one day we'll look back on it and we're like, holy crap, I can't believe we did that. So it's pretty awesome. And I'm really glad that we were able to do it at a time where people are just looking for outlets and things to do. So I think it's a really good time for the game, but I am looking forward to when we're all back in the office and able to see each other again.
Great. All right, I think we got time for one more question. So I'd like to switch gears again and talk a little bit about toxicity within Riot Games, which has been every once in a while problematic. I think ever since League of Legends, and then of course Valorant has had some issues. Now looking at Legends of Runeterra, you don't have a chat, so of course that we talked about that, and that does help narrow that down and keep it out of the game on some level. But I'm curious if you can talk a little bit more about addressing that and both in that game and at Riot as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, toxicity is one of the biggest topics that we're always trying to solve for League of Legends and other games. For Legends of Runeterra, luckily, it's a 1v1 game. There's no in-game voice chat or text chat. You're communicating by emotes, and so very, very low likelihood you're going to encounter some kind of severe toxicity, because you can't actually harass somebody or anything like that. So that's really helpful. Also, for us, you have to add someone as your friend if you really want to chat with them. So I think we'll skip the Legends of Runeterra one. I think it's a really low likelihood you'll ever encounter something like that. But as a company, we care about this topic immensely. League of Legends and Valorant are team games. You're thrown into a group with 4 other strangers most of the time. You might have different play styles, different objectives you're even trying to accomplish during that game. You're expected to communicate with each other right away. Sometimes you're on a part of the world where you can't communicate in the same language, so you're talking about your European server, for example. So it's ripe for a lot of conflict, if you will. I don't think that team games are ever going to go away. Team sports have been around for forever. So this is just something that we have to work on, both for Riot and the industry as a whole. Riot has cared about it a lot ever since the beginning. I was the producer on the Tribunal team, which was basically an old system we tried where players could basically kind of judge other people's behavior in games as a kind of a self-policing method that we tried for a while. It's just very challenging. We take it very seriously. If we do see bad player behavior in game, we're very quick to act on it. Obviously, though, we also want to make sure we're not acting on it from a point of a missed perspective, and we also want to give people the chance to redeem themselves. So you've seen some notable people, Tyler One, for example, on League of Legends, who were permanently banned. His IP was banned, his computer was banned from playing the game, but he did actually end up changing his behavior when he gave him a second chance. And so, those redemption stories are useful to us as well. For Valorant, I don't want to speak for that team. I'm not on that team, but I work really closely with Anna Donlin, who's the executive producer of that game, and she is extremely committed to solving these players for that community. It's going to take them some time. It's not going to be overnight, but you got to remember also that that genre comes from a rich history of CS:GO and other games like that. I'm a huge CS:GO player that have had voice chat for many years. And yeah, you probably will experience some conflict-rich scenarios or other bad things like that when your team's not doing well, you're having a bad game. And I think we need to set a standard for what acceptable behavior looks like and what the consequences are, and make that really clear to players, so that there's a really clear code of conduct. And I think that hasn't been set yet in industry-wide, but I think that the Valorant team is going to really focus on that. And I know it's something they care about deeply. I mean, for all these Riot games, many of them we hope will become widely played competitively at a high level and maybe even watched. And it's just not going to be acceptable to have players with bad manners or harassing their teammates. So, I think that you should definitely reach out to the Valorant team and get their perspective on it. But I talk to them all the time, and I know they're very, very committed to solving it.
Great.
Yeah, everything you said, Jeff, reminds me. I used to be a social media editor and community manager. So modding people is just like an ongoing forever problem. I'm not sure what can be done, but it's going to be tough. So thanks for answering that.
No problem. It's a tough one.
Yeah, I will ask one more question, and this might be a little easier, Jeff. I think this is our last question. What have you been playing? If you have time.
I've been playing so much during quarantine. Luckily, my fiance and I, we both play games often together. Let's see. So obviously, I played a lot of Legends of Runeterra yesterday when it went out on PC, and I'll play a lot tomorrow. I've been playing XCOM Chimera Squad since Friday. That's super cool. I'm a huge XCOM fan, and I believe the Gears game comes out today or yesterday.
I heard that's really, really good. Gears
Tactics, and I'm really happy to see another competitor in that space, because now I think they're going to have new ideas and push each other forward. Mm-hmm. Before that, I was returning and playing to Slay the Spire. So I was playing a lot of Slay the Spire. Mm-hmm. I'm currently on chapter 9 of Final Fantasy VII. No spoilers or anything like that, but I'm really enjoying it. I know that's right where it begins to get really spicy. I'm like right in the fun part of it while all these good games are coming out. And then I'm playing the Valorant closed beta at night. So I'm buried in tons of good games. We are so spoiled right now.
Surprising. Yeah. I feel like I talked to so many developers. They're like, well, I'm playing maybe this one game every once in a while. Because you're so busy all the time,
Yeah, I know. Under like between between work and then games and then my dogs. That's me. So that's it.
You've got a busy pandemic.
That's right. Yeah, not so bad for big players of games. I'll say not so bad. Without the social pressure to do anything else, I could live like this for a while.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, same here. I've been playing a lot too. I'm they started to bring them up, but I've actually been returning to Diablo 3 a lot lately now.
Oh, I thought about it, man.
Really?
I really thought about it.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, it's just always there, So
yeah, like, the new season started like pretty recently, so
that's true. That's true. Yeah, so I just picked up my season here back up again. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I might join you. I was close.
Yeah. I've just been consistently knee deep in Animal Crossing.
Oh yeah.
I'm basically becoming a villager now. I'm more.
Is there a villager you're trying to get, like a specific villager?
Not really.
Okay.
Like everyone loves Raymond, and I don't totally get. I like Marshall. I think he's super cute.
Okay, yeah.
I don't totally get the hype around Raymond. I'm pretty happy with my villagers. I've kind of swapped some of them out now.
Oh, that's great.
I think it works.
Yeah.
You're good then. You're good.
Yeah, my problem is I have too many birds, but we'll definitely get into that in our next segment. But before you get sucked into this, Jeff, we're gonna let you go. But
yeah.
Jeff,
okay. Sounds good. Thank you. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, really appreciate it. I'm a really big. I'm not a big CCG fan, but I used to play a ton of Magic when I was in high school.
Okay. Yeah, give it a shot. You might like it.
Yeah, so I've been really looking. It's been like 15 years for me. So it's like I've been really just looking for a good excuse to get back into a CCG. So maybe this might be it. So
that's awesome, man. Well, hopefully we scratch that itch. We'll see.
Yeah. Congratulations, though. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice talking to you.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
All right. Bye, guys.
Wow. Just bring up Animal Crossing is making me emotional right now.
We should also quickly mention that Legends of Runeterra is launching tomorrow.
April 30th. I already see it on my iOS, so I actually downloaded it this morning, and I played through the very engaging tutorial. I was also very surprised at how fun the tutorial is, for a
I know,
card
and
game.
there's a ton of missions in there. So
Yeah, but like the audio design and the art design, like Riot Games is just kings of like just clean art design, and that continues there with the UI.
beautiful.
Um, but speaking of beautiful art and audio design, we're going to talk about Animal Crossing again, and basically what makes you keep coming back to Animal Crossing. And I think this question kind of started because I've stopped playing Animal Crossing.
Right.
I've not logged on in 2 days. I logged on yesterday for like 5 minutes to see what was in the shop, and then I just turned it off again. But I don't know if I should start by talking about why I stopped. I guess I might as well since I'm already talking. The reason why I stopped is because Animal Crossing makes me more depressed in the game than I do in real life. I am more aimless. I am more lost in what to do with myself in Animal Crossing, mostly because I had kind of brought myself into that situation. I played a lot of it. I love the game, right? I think it's a fantastic game. But I played so much of it, not even as much as you, at least, honestly. But I played enough of it to the point where I kind of like burned myself out on it. And I have so much stuff in my island. And like I started off with a beautiful little seaside cafe, right? And it was like a nice cafe with a cake and teapots and like garden, like white garden furniture and everything. And I thought I should expand. We're an island, so I should have a sushi restaurant. And I'm from like Hawaii and Guam, so we just have those there. So I started a whole sushi joint, and it was really nice. And then I decided, I should honor my past. Because as a former alcoholic, I should install a dive bar into the Animal Crossing my island, and there it is, right on the screen. That is my dive bar on Nico Isle. It's got a pool table. It's got a jukebox, a little gambling thing,
Torches.
and a fighting game machine, and a couch, and some really like probably very sticky countertops. And the bar is also Bud Lights on special every night at a Nico Island bar. And ever since I put in my Bud Light bar, I've just looked at my island and looked at it and thought it was a complete mess because there was no planning involved. I feel like an urban planner who's like 70 and realized like, oh crap, I just really screwed up my city. And there's actually no way to go back into it unless I invest so much time and money to do it again, or I just nuke the whole place and start all over again. So I'm kind of stuck there. So that's what's keeping me away from Animal Crossing. So what's keeping you in Animal Crossing?
Yeah, I think I've had the opposite experience where I'm still very invested. I take breaks every once
Oh, hi,
in a
welcome
while.
back, Mikhail.
Yeah, hi, Mikhail.
Yeah, didn't notice you there.
Yeah, you just kind of snuck back in.
Yeah.
But I think what's been keeping me invested is I keep finding new ways to play, new ways to stay engaged. And I think the latest way, it's been, obviously you spend. I feel like the first portion of the game you're taking a lot of direction from Tom Nook, and just kind of creating the foundation of your island, getting your villagers together, and it's really like just figuring out what direction you want to take it. And then when you have that settled, you can do some like building projects when you get terraforming in. And I mean, I think for context, I'm generally a big builder. Like I don't play Minecraft, but I build houses on The Sims all the time. And I feel like Animal Crossing is kind of the perfect builder for me, I suppose, where it doesn't take that much skill. The skill is much more in designing and in finding a really nice aesthetic. And that's my favorite part of building. So I've enjoyed that. But I think now, like my new way of playing, quote unquote, is engaging with the black market, I guess you could call it. There's a website called Nookazon, which is, a kind of play on words of Amazon, but it's
I didn't even get that.
it's a fan-made kind of retail shop, I suppose, store online where everyone is. It helps you facilitate trade, and you can exchange items with other users, and you basically visit each other's islands and you trade. And I've found that Animal Crossing has almost become like Pokemon in that way for me, where there's a kind of gotta catch 'em all aspect to it, where I want to collect all the sets. I want to collect all the furniture. I want to collect, you know, all the recipes. So I think that has been a way that I have kind of found renewed interest in the game.
Mikhail, are you playing? I forget if you're playing or not.
So I think I'm in the same boat as Gene, but for a completely opposite reason. They're basically like, in my mind, I think there are three things that are kind of keeping me away from the game right now. And the first is that I think the game is kind of by design trending away from how I want to play it, where I really love the, you know, kind vibe, crunchy, just like nature all over, weeds, plants all over the place, things kind of untamed. I like that vibe on my island. I don't want to urbanize it. I don't want to build dense housing units. Like, I want to keep things very chill, very laid back. And the game, I think, kind of instructs you to like, get rid of all the weeds, get rid of all the trees in this place, get the trees in a regular order, like put houses here and so on and so forth. And there are ways to kind of subvert that. But I think by default, the game pushes in the direction of accumulate more stuff, put it all over the island, like make the island not wild anymore. And you
gentrify it.
Yeah, I don't love that. Not even like, I can definitely take myself out of that mode of thinking and just say like, okay, it's a fun game, whatever. But just like the gameplay element of it, I don't love. The other thing is, I used to play Minecraft a lot. And the thing is, if I had a creative vision, I knew exactly how I could go about fulfilling it. If I wanted to build something, I knew which materials I would have to get and like where I would have the best chance of getting the composite pieces to build a particular thing. And here, if I have a creative vision, like I've seen something online and I want to build something similar, so much of the game is kind of built around chance and like finding crafting recipes or like trading with strangers or asking friends for stuff they might have. It's hard to immediately act upon the impulse of, I want to make this thing the way, like the exact way I want it to be. And instead, a lot of the game feels like cobbling something together out of the disparate pieces you already have, which like, I feel like Gene, where I'm worried about building something up and then looking back on it and being like, this is trash. Why did I only built this because these were the puzzle pieces I had when I was building this. Like out of necessity, I put all this stuff together.
Yeah, I saw a bar. I saw like a bar and a billiards table, and I was like, "Oh, I should build a bar." And that's the extent of where my imagination went to, and at least that's exactly where you kind of touched on. I am not a creative person, and that's what Animal Crossing is making me realize. My island is looking back at me and says, "You made this. This is from your mind." And look at what you have to be proud of. Are you proud of it? And then I have to say no. And then so I just walk away and feel awful about myself. And then I go play Final Fantasy VII, where I'm an extremely pretty blonde boy.
Well, the beauty of Animal Crossing is that the whole world is malleable. You know, it's never set in stone so much that you can't change things. You know, I've had parts of my island that I've, you know, nuked, you know, in that small section and redone. You know, I think that's what's fun about it is you don't have to keep everything the way it is.
No, my place is a mess. The bar's gone, the cafe's gone, the sushi restaurant's gone. Like I just like trashed the whole place, like in like a one drunken fury, like at the dive bar, and I just like took it all down. I was like, this is all garbage. Why are you all living here? And then like I basically haven't come back to the village ever since then because out of shame or whatever. That's a story that I have in my head in terms of what's going on with my Animal Crossing. It's
that's fair.
I feel like not a pretty place.
I think another thing that's kept me invested is the community aspect of it. Just all my friends are playing this, and we can't see each other in person right now. So the best way to hang out is, like FaceTime, and then hop on Animal Crossing together. And like it's just a nice kind of communal space where we can all hang out. So I really enjoyed that, just because this kind of replacement for social interaction in a way. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we do have a Slack channel at work too for Animal, and it actually helped me. And it's actually our video editor John, who is my lifeline to Animal Crossing, really. Because right when I was able to give up, he told me that he had tournament prices for 540 at his island. And I was like, okay, maybe this is it. So I got myself 1,000,000 bells, and my ATM account is just basically sitting at 1,000,000 bells, as I'm kind of biding my time to kind of wait to see how I'm going to invest this really, really small amount of money when you think about it, and make my second round perfect. So.
Yeah, I also wanted to just quickly bring up, I think just the fact that so many people are playing this, it's also had me engage with the game in ways that I wouldn't expect. Like my friend, for example, Kim from Game Informer, actually. She started live streaming during the pandemic, and she's definitely was nervous to do that at first, and she introduced me to go.
It's crazy though. I remember Kim.
Kim, her island's crazy?
Yeah, wasn't it crazy? Like it was like really, really cool, right?
She hasn't. I don't know if it's.
I'm thinking about someone else.
Drag her.
Yeah, it's just so many Animal Crossing people just running through my head all the time. So
it's all good. But it was fun because I don't have a live streaming setup, but this was kind of a chance for me to engage with that and stream the game and engage with the chat, and I thought that was really fun too.
I think one of the issues for me with multiplayer is that it ultimately doesn't really feel that rewarding. Like I have found other games in which I am directly interacting with my friends as like a substitute for socializing. Like if I'm in Valorant, I'm making calls with my team and we're all moving in tandem, and we're all chatting about like, here's what you have to do and like what you have to do and go here and go there. If I'm playing like Warzone or Rocket League, same kind of logic applies. And in Animal Crossing, the verbs that are available to you for what you can do with friends, I personally found like kind of limited, where I still love seeing what my friends have done since I've last been on their island. But the actual activity side of things feels shallow. I think the most fun I've had on a friend's island is like playing the ocarina and just like inconveniencing them as they're walking around doing stuff, and I'm like doo on the ocarina behind them.
We'll do that.
But
I know you're right. Though there is a lot of limitations to multiplayer, and I think with local co-op too. There's not a whole lot of activities to do together, but I feel like I've always seen Animal Crossing as a single player game first, and this is just a way for me to show off my island to my friends and have them visit me and hang out. So.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to give up the game, and I definitely want to give it another shot. But unfortunately, we do have to give up the show. So wonderful transition, right? Like I'm just gonna keep on making sure that I have the worst transitions as possible. Anyway, speaking of transitions, subscribe to our YouTube channel, watch it in post. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching us here. I want to give a special shout out to Jeff Ju of Riot Games, executive producer of Legends of Runeterra, releasing tomorrow on iOS, Android. It's been out on PC. New card game, looks really cool, and it's probably going to build a big community. But we hope to build a big community here too. So please subscribe to our Washington Post channel. Keep the notifications on so you can see what cool gaming guests we might have next week. Let us know in the comments or tweet at us at Gene Park, at Elise Favis, or at Leader Grev if you have any ideas or any pitches to let us know. Bookmark launcher.gg if you want to read more of our work. And thanks again. And thanks for watching. Thanks, Elise and Mikhail, for joining us. And I'll see you guys next time. Stay safe out there.
Peace.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.